going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Hey man, check it out. Today I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I'm gonna use the Titan 50 for sure, and I'm gonna talk to you about playing a solo on your Titan 50. No matter what your level of drum or capabilities are, I'm just gonna give you some philosophy on playing a solo on the Titan 50. Right here, right now, on this channel, it's about to go down. So, you ready? Here we go. Alright man, so check it out. You guys have bought the Titan 50 and you gotten it home, and I know the first thing you did was just banged it out and just crushed. And I want to talk to you about crushing on the drums. I want to talk to you about banging them out. I want to talk to you about the solo, because that's the thing that everybody asks about. Now I'm going to tell you, when I was playing drums full time, I hated the solo. I hated soloing. I just always felt like my chops could have been better. Always felt like my left hand was weak. And now that I haven't been playing for years, I actually took a more than a 10-year break. Man, trust me, I feel so rusty getting back on the drums, playing it now. Yes, I've been releasing music and doing things, but it's just been a lot of work. It's a little more hard, it's a little more difficult than what it used to be back in the day. But I'm going to talk to you about soloing and give you just a little bit of philosophy, and I'm going to try not to bore you when I do this. So let me talk to you about some of the philosophy that I have about it. For first of all, the number one thing that you have to understand about a good solo is that a good solo, a good drum solo, is set up by a good pocket. Now let me explain to you what I mean by pocket. Let me show you what I'm talking about. When we talk about a pocket, we're talking about just your basic groove. Most of you guys have been, you're probably playing onto a record, and I'm not using any music. I'm just playing off the cuff, whatever comes to mind. But what sets up a good solo, whether it's a break in a song or whether it's just simply a solo, you're out there by yourself, is gonna be that pocket. So if you were playing a song, what most people do, what most drummers do, is they're too busy. So they're like, just constantly doing licks. But what sets up a good lick, or what sets up a good solo, is a good pocket, something like this. So something simple that sets a groove, and that's what I want to talk about. Because what most people don't realize about a solo is that a solo is a groove. It should have a groove to it. So what happens is, like, if you guys are old enough to remember the Muppets from back in the day when Animal would come out and be beating the drums, and he would just be banging on the drums and be going crazy. He'd be doing all kinds of licks and chops, and it would just be funny because he was crazy, he was playing. But if you actually saw a drummer doing that live, it would kind of get boring. And so what you have to understand is that your solo is just as important as the groove that you set. So a solo is musical. It has to be musical. It has to be melodic. Your drums, this drum is an instrument. It's not an instrument in the sense of that it doesn't have notes. But if you listen, everything has a sound and everything has a note. So what you need to understand is not just about, you know, just a bunch of rudiments and a bunch of crashes and a bunch of stuff, but you have to take a person on a journey in your music. Just like when a song comes on and the singer is singing, he doesn't just sing hard at the beginning of the song right away. The song has to go somewhere. And when music is like that, it's monotonous. You notice repetition and redundancy. You notice that it doesn't have an ebb and a flow. So what you need to understand about a solo is that the solo has to breathe. The solo has to breathe just like the groove had to breathe. When you played that groove, you went. There's a beat there. There's a boom boom that groove gets your head bobbing. Okay, so what happens is, even though a solo may break rhythm with the groove, even in the breaking of the rhythm, there is rhythm. There's something that has to happen in that pocket space, in that move. Otherwise, it's just to the average listener, it comes across as just a bunch of stuff, which brings me to another point. You need to know, no matter what audience you're in, there's two types of people in that audience. Person number one, just the regular old Joe, everyday listener. This guy, this gal, they love music. Okay, they don't know A flat from a B flat. They don't know a rudiment from nothing. But they love music. They love that feel. And what they will tell you, I love music. But what they do is music speaks to them and it puts them in a groove. And oftentimes there are levels of people, depending on your level of love and your level of understanding, determine sometimes what music you can stomach more than others. There are people who hate jazz. There are people that love jazz. There are people that hate rock. There are people that love rock. There are people that hate pop. There are people that love country and hate. You see what I'm saying? But no matter what it is, there's a groove, there's a rhythm, there's something that speaks to them. So when you're playing a solo, I know some of you guys were like, "You're gonna play, right?" I'm gonna play a little bit of something, but I really want to give you the philosophy on how to make your drum interesting to people more than just the second person in the room. The second person in the room is the musician that understands the chops, understands key change, understands meter, time, tempo, understands all of those different musical phrases and other things. And he's really impressed when you can do flam tap-a-doodles and you can put the paradiddles and mix things in and out and break time and play an odd time and come back, and he's impressed by that. He understood it. He knows what it is. He may or may not be able to play it, but he or she knows what it is. And as a result, they listen to you differently. Oftentimes, that musician is the one that's standing in the crowd going, they're not screaming and hollering, they're listening, they checking your chops out. You follow me? So you have to understand that there are two people in the room. No matter what room you're in, unless you're in a room full of musicians, but even in that room full of musicians, even though you can do the chops, what makes the chops good is what you do with the chops. So I want to talk to you real quick. I'm almost done. I'm telling you, this philosophy is going to help some of you guys out. If you watch some of my other videos, I did a groove where I did something like this. I went, So notice what I just did there. If you caught that, there was a rhythm going on. What I'm doing is I'm creating music with the tom. I'm letting you hear the toms. That is setting a rhythm. That is setting your brain up. Before I do anything crazy, I'm setting your brain up for something else. Now, what I just did brings me to another point. A solo is not all about playing hard and fast. Sometimes playing soft and slowing down brings intensity and makes your music your solo musical and more interesting. When you do all hard, if you just there's no finesse. There's nothing musical. But this run, and I'm gonna tell you where I got that from. Honestly, let me give a shout out, Mr. Dave Weckel. Back in the day, Back to Basics, I think was the tape that it was on. He did this groove, and that's where I learned it back in the '80s. Notice I'm doing something that he also talked about in that video. Is I'm not playing everything hard. So by doing that, you create music. You make what you're doing interesting, and you make your audience want to hear more of what you're getting ready to do. Where are you going to go? Are you going to speed up? Are you going to slow down? How long is that pattern of that? How long is that going to last? Are you going to keep doing that, or is it going to stay? They want to know now. So when you switch up and when you start switching up, they want to hear that. They want to hear what you're going to do with your foot. Where are you going to place things? What are you hearing? That's the thing about a solo. A solo is not always about the fast rudiments and a bunch of cymbals. Sometimes that solo is more about the inflection, and you sound more professional. In my opinion, you sound more professional, you sound more polished, you sound more interesting as a drummer when there's inflection, when there's certain things going on that you don't get from the regular drummer who doesn't know that softness and quiet and space are just as musical as the hit and the crash and the rudiment. Sometimes that space, that breathing in that space really sets the tone for what you're doing. And that's what I'm going to tell you about a solo. Now, I'm going to do another video later where I get into some ideas for rudiments and things that you can use. But that basic thing that's music. That's music. And you got to learn that it's not so much. Notice, those are all singles. I'm not doing doubles. I'm doubling up on what I'm hitting. And I'm not even turning, there's no foot. Those are the types of things you need to learn in a solo. Yes, you need to know your rudiments. Yes, you need to understand all of those things, and you need to be able to play fast and slow. You need to understand inflection. You need to understand finesse. But you also need to understand how to take all of those things and all of those elements and put them together in a way that they become interesting and not just a show of chops. There's nothing worse than the guy that can do all of the chops, but you don't want to hear that guy play because he hasn't figured out finesse. He hasn't figured out space. He hasn't figured out the beauty of silence, the beauty of playing nothing. He hasn't understood that by doing certain things, you bring intensity to what you're about to do. And by taking things out, you bring intensity to what you just took out because you took it out and you moved. And yeah, soloing is a trip, man. Soloing is a trip thing. There's no right or wrong way, but if you want to make your solo interesting, yeah, learn the space, learn who to play for and how to play what you're trying to get to. Learn that it's not just about the chop, all right? I'm gonna catch you guys in the next video. Peace. Go on about your business, not going about your day.